There we go. Okay, we are recording. I'll have that posted after the call later today. Thank you, Waveform, for posting the agenda. And just for everyone looking for the agenda, it is in the chat window in this call. The little chat tab, just click that. It'll pop up a window on the side, and you can access the link from there. Waveform, can you confirm you're going to be taking notes? And if anyone has any additional items they want to discuss or any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. Oh, it looks like the Discord notification went out on time this time. All right. Usually it's a few minutes behind, so that's good. I don't know if we'll have time for dad jokes. Wow. All right. Hashcode has just typed one in the chat for everyone. What do you do to a news anchor who breaks a leg? You put them in a broadcast. All right, that's pretty good. I like that. That's quality. That's a solid one right there. Nice job.
That was a good one.
That was quite good. All right, it looks like everyone's jumping in here. Perfect. Okay, so just one more time. This is the Helium community call. Welcome, everyone. The call is being recorded, so you can access that later on today. I will post that in the Discord. Waveform has posted the meeting agenda in the chat on the right-hand side. Feel free to access that. And if you have any questions, comments, feel free to chime in the chat, and we'll get started. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Good to see everyone. We've got a pretty big audience today. So first up, I am going to bring up, Scott is already up. He's on top of it. So Scott is going to give us an MCC update. So feel free to take it away, Scott.
Thank you, Keenan. How's my audio today?
Sound right? Good so far. Yep.
All right, excellent. Headphone issues earlier. So yeah, as MCC updates, Manufacturing Compliance Committee. So the most important thing I want to cover today is a HIP that we're going to be releasing soon that is going to formalize the MCC. Now, you're already probably asking, why do we need this? There's already HIP 19. And I think as far as, so the MCC is a very important committee to network success. Everybody who has been involved has been volunteers to date with some degree of network alignment and incentives. But there are some limitations around folks' time constraints, given that it's a volunteer-based committee, as well as the fact that any sort of enforcement really has been done with a, the blunt instrument of addressing maker issues where you effectively can grant and revoke maker key. So why this change now? Looking ahead, we really want to have a cleaner path to actually, to compensate committee members going forward. It's critical work that they're doing for the network. There is recurring meetings. There's a need to review documentation. There's auditing work, and we want to make sure that this committee is appropriately incentivized and compensated going forward. Also, just kind of with the evolution of the network, we want to establish some new requirements and procedures for makers in general. And it is easier for a maker to face a distinct entity, which is why, as far as highlights for this HIP, so number one is this would carve out a distinct legal entity separate for the MCC. would grant them more authority, ability to formalize bylaws, establish a budget, create clear terms for members of the committee, and also create transparency around the work it is doing on behalf of the network. Now, what is going to accompany this HIP, yet to be written, is we want to create a little bit more clarity around an operations fund that can be delegated by each subnetwork. So the idea that the MCC really, beyond IoT and kind of serving the mobile side, does need to broaden its scope, whether that is for precise means of enforcement, facilitating more hardware and testing. But the idea that each subnetwork can allocate some of an operations fund specifically to fund the MCC. So this, in addition to the compensation side and having that distinct legal entity, it allows the MCC to also sign contracts with different makers and give them just a lot more tools in their arsenal in general, because we want to make sure that this committee can appropriately scale directly with the network and benefit each subnetwork. So we'll be publishing the HIP on that, try to get that merged today, if not by tomorrow, but really think that this is pretty essential to move beyond a volunteer-based committee, make sure folks are compensated, that they're folks who are participating on the committee feel they have the right protections in place, and that the MCC can have more precise measures to work with makers directly. So HIP is forthcoming. We'll get channel opened up for discussion, but definitely believe from a foundation perspective, this is the way this needs to go. So we can continue to recycle folks through the committee, get more active participation, and make sure there's a reason for folks to continue to engage, and that there's a lot more tools to manage the maker ecosystem in general. Some more coming on that shortly. Otherwise, couple audits that are under vote right now. We have RAD that is being voted on for a new IoT hotspot, and the committee is also engaging with Nova for a vote related to the Wi-Fi hotspot coming soon to serve the mobile side of the network. So more news on that as conversations and votes complete. But otherwise, we'll keep you all posted and alert you when the HIP goes live, and we'll open a channel.
That is perfect. Thank you very much, Scott. That was an awesome update. All right. Next up, we've got Brandy. You're going to tell us about some events.
I am. I'm very excited about many upcoming events that we have going on. But let me first talk about the event that we just had in New York City at MainNet. We got together with a bunch of great folks from the DPIN community last week in New York. Full packed house at a great venue, DeLorean's in New York City. Lots of folks came out. We were able to network with each other, touch base. We had some great sponsors join us, Demo, and many others. So thanks to everybody who came and showed up. It was great to see everybody. Great to get together at these events and touch base with some amazing experts and technologists and see each other face to face again. Moving forward, next week, we're going to be in New York City again at Smart City Expo. So if you're around, please come, please join us. We will be there. It's October 4th to 5th. And we have our own Scott who will be speaking on Thursday. That's October 5th. And he will be live on stage. So make sure you don't miss that. Grab a ticket and come see him talking about the Helium Foundation and all things IoT and the future. So that's really exciting. Looking forward to that next week. And next up after that, October 11th and 12th in Tokyo, Our own Joey is going to be speaking at Lure Around Live. So we have that coming up. Pretty packed October here. Because quickly after that, Breakpoint in Amsterdam, we have Abai will be speaking, and also Noah. So two of the Helium Foundation folks will be speaking on stage there with some great talks, kind of formulating those things as we speak. And I'm hearing some great side events that are getting organized. Currently kind of coming together. So stay tuned. If you're not following us on our social channels, we are actively promoting all of these things where you can find us and get together with us on site at all of these events. So stay tuned. Twitter, Discord, of course. But we're getting better at posting all these things. LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere. Look everywhere, follow us. And in November, we are planning a booth and also a side event if you find yourself in Barcelona at Smart City again. So come join us if you're out and about. We've got a lot of great things where the Helium Foundation team is out and about. We want to see you. And if you are there, come see us. Join us. That is all from the event side.
Thank you very much, Brandon. Yes, I was actually at the New York event myself. So if anyone in the crowd was at the event and saw me there, chime in, say hello. That's perfect. We've got a pretty packed future of events, so looking forward to all those. We've got up next an engineering update from Noah, and Noah has already joined. So take it away, Noah.
Hey, so I guess the thing that most people will be concerned about, version 2.2.2 of the wallet app is out and released. This is actually a pretty big one for a lot of people because it makes the kind of claim experience a lot better for people with a ton of hotspots. So if you had, I'd say maybe over like 50 to 100 hotspots in the previous version, it would be really laggy loading the hotspots page, and then claiming, depending on your phone's performance, could literally crash the phone. So now claim will happen in probably less than a minute, and it loads a lot faster. I don't think we're still, I don't think we're 100% there yet. I think there's more optimizations to be done here, but it's a lot better than it was. As far as what's coming to the wallet app, there's a lot of exciting things that are going to be coming. So, we're going to have onboarding of hotspots back into the wallet app for, when people have issues with their Maker app. There's hopefully, if Apple lets us, there will be Jupyter swaps coming, and a couple of other big changes like Ledger support. And then on the kind of protocol side, we're in the process right now of switching the A portion of the utility score to using the actual onboarding DC feed that was paid per hotspot. So the old implementation just took the number of active devices and multiplied it by $40, but this is not exactly accurate because data-only devices paid less than that. And then we have mobile devices coming on soon that are going to have different fees as well. So we're just kicking all the tires and making sure the data is right on mainnet before we actually switch the utility score. A bit of an update for, I think it was maybe a few tens of users. If you experienced claiming rewards in the Realms UI, where for one epic you got 0 rewards, that was the epic that the epic that ended on Saturday the 25th. Due to, I wouldn't really call it a bug, but something happened with the contract where it used too much compute, and Solana was was failing the transaction. The epic didn't actually close properly. And because of that, when people claimed, it had 0 rewards sitting in the escrow account, and so they got 0 rewards. This is a bug. It shouldn't have even allowed you to claim. So we fixed a bug. That won't happen in the future. And then we issued the correct amount of rewards once the epic was closed to all the people who claimed using a temporary endpoint. So if this happened to you, you don't need to worry. The funds that you should have gotten should now be in your wallet with no action on your part. We fixed that yesterday. let's see. I think that's mostly it on the engineering update side.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Noah. Appreciate it. Got Waveform up next. He's just going to give us an update on the console. So go ahead.
Well, it was just a quick reminder. The Nova console, which is the VIP console, will be sunsetted in December the 7th. So a reminder to anybody who does use it, if you haven't seen the email, asking you to contact with your options for migrating either externally or within their new platform, then you need to be contacting the team at Nova to do with your migration. So just a reminder, the console VIP will be sunsetted on December the 7th.
Got it. Thank you.
The Foundation console still works. I don't believe we have an end of life date for that, if there is one at the moment.
If anyone has any questions, just reach out to myself or Waveform on the Discord, and we'll happily direct you. All right. Is that on your side, Waveform?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll hear from you again later. Heated Lime, if I can call you up. Heated Lime's going to give us an update on the mobile working group.
Hey guys, thanks Keenan, thanks for having me. So just a quick background on the mobile working group in case anybody's unfamiliar. So we're basically a group of elected folks here for the mobile sub-DAO, and we meet every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time to discuss new ideas, new concepts that we can try to introduce to the mobile sub-DAO to advance it. And so we have a few interesting concepts that we've been floating around. We currently have a thread within the mobile sub-DAO group, working group channel that kind of lists all the different hip concepts we kind of have so far and are floating around. One interesting hip concept that we have is an idea to create a free public Wi-Fi network, and that would be through the Wi-Fi access points once those are released. And effectively, it would allow access point deployers to allow anybody to access Wi-Fi for free from the access point. However, the usage would be throttled and total data usage may be metered to help encourage Helium Mobile subscribers to connect to it via Helium Mobile so paid data can occur. Another HIP that we have in the works is to potentially change how assertion fees for the mobile sub network is paid. So currently the assertion fees is $10 in DC. There's a HIP concept proposed to reduce that to $5 and also have it paid in mobile instead of DC. So just want to remind everybody, our meetings are every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. So our meeting is tomorrow, and I'd really like to see everybody may be able to join. So thanks, Keenan. That's all I have.
Thank you. Yeah, and just on that note, if you're looking for the meetings in your Discord client, there should be a section at the very top of the channel list that says events. We keep it updated, so you can click on the event section and it'll tell you exactly when the working group meetings are for both mobile and IoT. You can actually add that to your calendar as well. So just moving along. Oh, and on that, before I move on, if you're looking to follow along with what's happening in the working groups, check out the governance channel. You can actually, the governance section, then you can actually access the mobile working group or the IoT working group fishbowl channels, where you can see the members discussing topics, issues, whatever, happening at that time. So jump in and take a read. Moving on, we don't have an update from the IoT working group this month, so we will move on. One moment here. So next up, we've got the denialist update. Do we have Professor or Mad Ninja who wants to join in here? And just before I move on there, the IoT working group calls are weekly as well. They are Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern. Again, you can find them in the events section of Discord. Sorry, Mad Ninja, go ahead.
Oh, no worries. Deny list update. Okay, so as we mentioned on the blog post, we're going to do a refinement to the deny list so that instead of nodes getting deployed or hotspots getting denied all out, uh, there's a like two sets of deny types that happen. One of them are denials for like actual hotspots, like if you're not witness reciprocating, like if you're beaconing but nobody's hearing you, but you're seeing witnesses. Basically, it's sort of it's like a very anomalous state, and so your hotspot will just still be denied as a whole, like you're not earning just for witnessing. You have to be beaconing, and somebody has to hear you if you can hear somebody else. And then the second section of denying is these edge denies, which basically are denying witness events for improbable like radio events, right? So things that go like 2,000 kilometers across the globe or through a mountain are just very improbable, and those will get declined. We're still getting some data around like more improbable events, but overall, like them getting denied. The hotspot itself will still earn for both beaconing and witnessing, like normal events. So unlike the first setup where the whole hotspot and everything it does gets denied, in this case, like just the improbable events get denied. And everything else just continues earning. I think it'll help a lot, especially with the rebroadcasting clusters. That's like a weird setup that seems to be happening there, where stuff that isn't actually on chain is rebroadcasting both beacons and witnesses, and so you can't really deny anything there. This will actually just end up denying their effect, which is sort of a hopefully the best of both worlds there. The deny list is being generated for that. The XOR filter that is used to like do the deny lists is able to generate this thing now, and the oracles have been deployed to use this. So I think we're getting ready. We're just like generating the new edge based deny list for it. So I think we're still on track for getting that done before the end of the month. May get close, but we're getting.
there any questions for Mad Ninja about the deny list? Just gonna check the chat here.
Yeah, I see the chat here. Yeah, Robo was asking if we can release the new list earlier in the day. I wish we could. We're doing it as we're doing it as early as we can. We still have, we're still maturing like the generation of that because we're constantly changing the classifiers. And so sometimes like it misfires and it doesn't work, and we have to restart it, and so it doesn't always work out. So we'll try. It's a good question though, to see if we can try to line it up with an earlier in the date deploy.
Don't see any more
It's gonna be big though,
questions.
by the way. Like the last deny list had about 5,000 ish, 6,000 ish hotspots in it, and so the CSV file was about that long. The new one is like a 500 megabyte behemoth because it's just endless witness events that are getting declined. So they're big. The resulting extra filter is quite small, so it actually still really fast, but like processing this thing is going to be problematic. So for people like Riowa or other folks that are using the deny list CSV, we're attempting a slightly more compact JSON format where public keys are repeating endlessly. And so the hope is that will be a little easier to process without like breaking all the things.
Another call for any
Cool.
questions before we move on.
Moving on. Thank you guys.
Looking like thanks, Mad Ninja. Okay, up next we've got Hip 92. Just looking for Elon Tusk. Not sure if he's around at the moment. Let's just take a second here to see if he's available. Ah, I'm told he's not doing well. Okay. It's not feeling good, so we're going to move on to the next subject, which is HIP 85. So, Heated Lime, if we can get you back up here. Or, sorry, wait for him. Go ahead.
Just a sec, Keenan. Yes, we've done a final update, PR update onto HIP 92. The final list, the agreed list, has been added to the HIP as a file on GitHub. So as far as we are concerned now, the HIP is complete.
Perfect. Okay, I just posted the HIP channel as well in the chat if anyone wants to go take a read. Okay, thank you, Waveform. Heated Lime, yeah, let's hear it about HIP 85.
Thanks. Yep. So HIP 85 was put to a community vote, I think about last month or a few weeks ago, and it was passed. So what HIP 85 is, it basically limits, specifically it's for the mobile sub-DAO, it limits the amount of radio signals that will be rewarded in a single Res 12 hex. So basically, effectively, it's just trying to make sure people aren't putting up a bunch of radios, pointing them in the same direction. So basically, the HIP will encourage the spread out of radio signals and help expand coverage. So I believe that it can't be rolled out without the implementation of HIP 74. So once HIP 74 is implemented, I believe HIP 85 will probably be implemented within a month or two after. So it probably by the end of the year, I'm hoping it'll be implemented. But that's all contingent on Nova doing the work on the Model Coverage Explorer, which I know they're diligently working on. So thanks.
Perfect. Thank you for the update. Appreciate it. And again, I put the HIP channel in the chat if anyone wants to go and read about that. Next up, HIP 93, Italian dude, are you out there? Taking a look for you. Let me just do a quick tag here. Okay, you know what? Maybe we will come back to that if he can join in. So we'll just move on to the next for a new HIP, HIP 95. Shawaj. Aaron, if you're out there as well, feel free to join.
It's just quick. It's not really a new HIP, Keenan. He did speak on it before on the last community calls. It's just on here because it's actually been given a HIP number. I've tagged Aaron to see if he can attend, but I haven't heard back from him yet. So it's on here as the fact that it's gone to a HIP number from last month when it was just a proposal.
Got it. Yeah, I see the HIP channel is created. Again, I just posted that in the chat, so feel free to join in there. Okay, and then we'll do HIP 96. Max, if you want to hop up here.
All right.
Take it away.
Finally, someone's here. Yeah, HIP 96, very simple. HIP 93 is adding the Wi-Fi APs. HIP 96 is going to define what the onboarding fee is for those Wi-Fi APs. The current number right now is $10 worth of DC for both indoor and outdoor Wi-Fi APs to be paid in DC. On top of that, there will be an additional $10 worth of mobile burn for the indoors and $20 worth of mobile burn for the outdoors. That will all be handled by the manufacturer, which at this point is actually no one, because no one's passed the HIP 19 process, but Nova Labs is currently in that process, I believe. There's some work being done by Noah to, in his words, rip up the floorboards to make all this work, which we're very thankful for. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at on that one. Head on over to the channel that was created yesterday if you want to discuss numbers. Essentially, The rationale was we thought about 10% of whatever the cost of the hardware was from an MSRP standpoint is a high enough number that can drive value into the token, but also not hinder network deployment. So we got on that one.
Great, thanks, Max. I'm just putting a link to that HIP in the chat as well. And it looks like we've got Italian dude back here to discuss HIP 93.
Hello, everybody. Sorry for missing the memo. I didn't get an invite and I was deep in development mode, so I apologize.
Sorry about that. Thanks for coming.
It's okay, no problem. Mark called me. He's like, "Hey, you're supposed to give an update." I was like, "Oh, of course." I didn't get the memo, so sorry. So HIP 93, it's actually fully implemented on DevNet. We actually, as you guys know, some time ago we called in the 5G CBRS for a beta tester. There is beta testing going on DevNet, and this is the pre-HIP 74 POC rewards scheme that includes speed test, heartbeats, and the location trust score based on Skyhook location validation. That is already live on DevNet, and so as soon as we will launch those devices on GA, then we will port that functionality on mainnet. So from the point of view of implementation, we are looking really good for HIP 93. That's my quick update.
Awesome, thank you.
Of course, happy to be here.
Okay, I just put another link in the chat as well, so anyone can read about that. Waveform, can we get you back up? I'm going to talk about the Africa EU 868 region deployment. Take it away.
Yes. This is a draft HIP at the moment. It will probably get allocated a number next week and a discussion channel. There's already been a discussion about this in the IoT working group where we got Abai and George up to discuss what the plan is for this. Most of Africa hasn't got a LoRaWAN region code, so they're not EU 868 or AS 923 at the moment. There a lot of some countries they're running on an unknown region. There are some countries running on a very old legacy channel called EU 433, and we've been getting a lot of interest from partners trying to deploy in Africa, where some countries have region codes and some don't. George from Open Network has been working with us. They're trying to deploy in Liberia, Malawi, and places like this where there's no authorized LoRaWAN Alliance region. And what this proposes is, because each country trying to apply to get a region, there's about 40 countries, 50 countries, it would take an awful lot of time for us to engage with them one by one with the LoRaWAN Alliance. We're going to do a proposal where we set all these countries to EU 868, which is what we've been talking to different organizations, is what we expect to be the default frequency for most of Africa, if not all of Africa eventually. So we will be setting our configuration to default to EU 868. And then we'll be talking and assisting local operators to work with regulators to get a provisional configuration of EU 868 for testing and for development and for proving that the systems works. And then we'll be approaching the LoRaWAN Alliance and all the regulatory authorities to get this approved in a faster way than it would be if each country was using us to approach the LoRaWAN Alliance individually. It's more of a top-down approach rather than a single step up, because the LoRaWAN Alliance approves channels for countries individually, whereas we're trying to do a regional deploy with a recommendation. So hopefully this will speed up the deployment of LoRaWAN in Africa from taking possibly 10 years to cover Africa to be done in 1 or 2 years.
I see you posted in the chat the proposal there, so feel free to take a read of that.
As I said, I'll post. I'll create a thread within the HIP discussion channel later for this, and then there'll be a HIP channel later in the week. I see George is typing. Don't know if he wants to come up on stage at all, George.
Yeah, feel free. I'll send you an invite here.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Waveform Adrian. We have stepped out there in Liberia, in Kenya, and are about to in the Congo and Malawi, as was mentioned, in Nigeria. We have 5 countries we're targeting, and I have people on the ground there who have connections to the regulatory authorities. So the idea is that we will be following up on the heels of this provisional HIP, if accepted, and reaching out. We already have reached out to the Africa Telecom Union, which is sort of a, continental scale regulatory organization that answers up to the International Telecom Union. So it is kind of a top-down with them, and it's not a priority, LoRaWAN compared to 5G. So we're trying to push, obviously, the network out there. We're set up in these places and it was working, and we want to continue this. And we've already reached out to the Liberia Telecom Authority to have them evaluate, what our proposition is. And, so I'm going to revisit this once the HIP is out or in the midst of it, putting it together here. And, just keep the dialogue going with the Africa Telecom Union, which is really the place to go for cross-Africa regulatory rulings. So, we're just going to have to step by step, but we have people on the ground that can meet with the regulatory authorities from those 5 countries of mine and any others that we can, get through the Africa Telecom Union. If anybody else wants to land in one of the beyond those 5 countries of mine, where I'm operating at the moment or intend to, I'll be happy to help through the Africa Telecom Union. And I have the name of the gentleman there that we spoke to earlier who thinks this will fly. And this is sort of the momentum. It's got traction, EU 868. So we want to continue to push it forward if that's acceptable to the community.
Yeah, I've also added in the document the reasons why other regional parameter codes frequencies wouldn't be the best to be selected.
Yeah, there are some big countries that have put a stake in the ground in and around EU 868. So I think, why not push the market ahead for obvious reasons for Africa to take advantage of IoT for all the things that need to be done in the environment and in industry so that Africa doesn't lag in this case. Any questions, anybody? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I see one person typing, so let's give it 1 second before moving ahead. Okay, so Waveform, you're going to be giving us an update on governance as well?
I've just had a response from a message from Gradosh, who looks after the plan documentation. He's been reading through that as well. So how it's configured on our GitHub will be supported by the person who does it. Thanks. Okay, so governance hours, office hours. A couple of months ago, I created a new document on the possible future of Helium governance, which I shall just post now. This was the future, and since then, I've been working on a charter for this group, which I shall post now. And then as part of this, we'll be implementing some regular governance office hours discussions, which I will be announcing through events in the next day or so. But the main thing that we're going to be doing is discussing initially the governance process around HIPs, what is it that makes a HIP, how is a HIP created, how a HIP goes to vote, who decides whether it goes to vote. At the moment, some of those are quite manual processes at the moment, and we want to add a level of governance in those that is assisted by the community and have representatives from the community, from as well as the foundation. I'd like to add makers. I'd like to add different people with different aspects, not just hotspot owners in all of the governance procedures. For example, we could have roaming partners. We could have people who deploy sensors, manufacturers of sensors. Let's involve all those in the governance process, and for all HIPs, and including the voting where we need voting on any scenario. And the charter is a draft. It's got lots of content in there from suggestions of people. Probably some of it is contradictory, but I've tried to add in there content from everyone so far. And then as we get people joining the governance hours, we can work our way through this. The people who are contributing will be appreciated, and we can look at what we need to add, what we need to remove, and finally we'll come up with a governance committee charter and a set of criteria of how the members of this governance committee are selected and how they work and how they operate. So the next office hours agenda will be next Wednesday. Just in the document I've just posted now, there are some provisional times, so there'll be an afternoon for me in the UK, morning for the States, 1 week a month, and then there'll be another one which will be for late in the evening for America, early in morning, Asia Pacific area, so that we can get different people who may be not able to attend on the timings of this event, which is regular. November, lots of things going on. I've had to rearrange the dates, but we'll probably end up with having one session a week that suits European US time, and one session, month, and one session a month that suits US Pacific time. Any questions from anyone?
Just keeping an eye on the chat. Taking a look there.
Yeah, as Hashcode says here, the high-end goals, better formatted HIPs that are, cover all eventualities within them. We get things are implemented. Well, governance is implemented faster. Things get to vote. Things get to decline. Things get written. Things get supported in content. Everything should try and work faster with more people involved. Yeah, and everybody knows what the procedural systems are to go from one step to the next step. And as Max says, got to find a funding source. We can't expect everybody to contribute free time in a lot of instances. Any more questions from anyone else? If you've got any questions, ask me, unfortunately, but I will probably mostly be away for the next 4 days. But DM me, message me. I'll create. I'll post these in the governance section of the Discord for discussion.
Perfect. Thank you. And while Waveform is away, if anyone has any questions for him, they can always send me a message or tag me on Discord as well, and I can always pass that message along. All right, so looks like we have come to the end here. So if anyone has any community questions, feel free to post them in the chat. I'll leave a couple minutes here for that. We are a little bit early. Unfortunately, it's fall and it looks like people are getting sick. Things are people are coming down with colds. It's cold season. So we'll catch up with those members next time. Our next community call is Wednesday, October 25th at noon. Again, you can find that in the event section of Discord. You can click on that event, click the little 3 dots, and add it to your calendar so you don't miss it. If you have anything to add to the agenda for next month, feel free to tag Waveform or myself, and we'll make sure to direct you into the proper way to get that onto the agenda. Yeah, and again, this call has been recorded, so I will post that in the channel shortly after this call is finished. Thank you, everyone, to everyone who spoke today, everyone who attended and listened in. Really appreciate it. If there's anything else, I'm just taking a quick peek in the chat before we go. Yep, thank you, George, for jumping on stage there last minute. Appreciate that. Not seeing any other questions, so I think we can call it there. So once again, thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you all next month. Have a good one, everyone.